Friends, you are welcome to ENT 211 Entrepreneurship and Innovation. ENT 211 is one of the general study courses that the NUC expects every student to go through. And the purpose of bringing in entrepreneurship to the curriculum of higher institutions is to encourage students to learn how to be dependent by the time they finish their program of study, irrespective of the course of study, whether you are in the arts and humanities, the sciences, social and management sciences, or anything. You should be able to practice and be an employer of labor and take care of yourself rather than going about looking for white collar job. And you also be helping in reducing the rate of unemployment in the country. So you are expected to take this course very seriously, not just for the purpose of passing examination, but for the purpose of knowing and practicing afterwards. Series of topics have been lined up for this course, and later on at the 300 level we'll be having a follow-up course which is also to assist you to achieve the same purpose. But for this period, I have some seasoned experts who will be joining me to take the course. I'll be coordinating the course, and from next lesson, other people will be joining me until we conclude at the end of the semester, when I also come back to round off the whole thing. So today we want to look at the introductory aspects, the concept of entrepreneurship. Historically, the word entrepreneur was first used by Richard Cantillon. And when you say entrepreneur, the thing was coined from two French words, entre and prendre. Entre means between, prendre means to take. So when you join the two together, you have something like a between taker. That is somebody in between two people who is taking a risk, a business risk this time around, buying goods at certain prices to later sell at uncertain prices. Because when you are buying a commodity, you know how much you are buying it. But by the time you'll be selling it, you may not be able to predict, because that will depend on market forces. It's likely you sell at a price higher than the amount you bought it, or at a price lower, or maybe at the same price. And that is what will determine whether you are just breaking even, or you are making a profit, or you are making a loss. But before we have the present connotation of entrepreneurship, if you go back historically, you discover that the way entrepreneurship was understood many years ago was different from what we have in mind today. And along the line, over the centuries, different authors have come around to define entrepreneurship based on their own perception or understanding of the word entrepreneurship. And in most cases, some of them focused on different aspects of entrepreneurship. For instance, Joseph Trumpeter looked at it as a sort of an activity that has to do with systematic innovation. So his own way of looking at it is from the point of view of innovation, that you bring up a new idea, commercialize it, you're using it to help people, and you're also using it to help yourself by operating at a profit. So entrepreneurs also do emerge from within the firms. We have entrepreneurs that are using their initiative, bringing out new ideas to establish business enterprises, and they employ people to run the business. They might also be directly involved by themselves. That's the way we understand entrepreneurs. But there are similar concepts that are from the word entrepreneur, depending on the focus. For instance, we also talk about intrapreneurs. The entrepreneur is somebody working for the entrepreneur. He's supposed to be an employee. But then because there's an enabling environment and the entrepreneur has made it possible for this person to use his initiative and act as if he were an entrepreneur operating on his own outside the organization, but within the organization this time around, working for the organization. So because he's acting as an entrepreneur, but he's inside an organization owned by an entrepreneur, we refer to him as an intrapreneur. So that should not confuse us. And even today, we have so many preneurs, depending on what's the point of focus. We can talk about medipreneur, people in the medical field who operate as entrepreneurs to give you a direct reflection of what the purpose of the business is. We'll rather use the word medipreneur. So you know that it's an entrepreneur in the medical field. We have edupreneur, educators, those who are specialists, who are educationists. So they want to make you to realize that we're entrepreneurs, but we are educationists. So they refer to themselves as edupreneurs. You can also hear people talking about agripreneurs, those in the agricultural. So you can have different types of preneurs like that. Those who are using their initiatives, taking risks, and commercializing whatever they know how to do to benefit the society and also to benefit themselves. But let's look at an all-inclusive definition by Eastridge, because somebody is looking at entrepreneurship from the point of view of innovation. Another one is considering it from the point of view of managerial process. That is what managers normally do. That this is somebody who is starting a business and is also supervising, is planning, is organizing. These are managerial activities and is carrying them out as an entrepreneur. But this reach just try to bring all these perspectives together to give us an all-inclusive definition. Although the definition is not for you to memorize so that you can regurgitate and point it down. No, but just to give us an idea of a summary of all the activities of an entrepreneur. He says, and he defined entrepreneurship as the process of creating something new. You know, innovation is coming in there now. And when we say something, it may not be something entirely or completely new. It may be addition to an existing idea or product or service or process of doing things. It may be doing the old thing in a new way. It may be a completely new thing, but you are creating something new with value. Value is very important, because if there's no value, there's no way you can market the product or service. Although there may be a difference between the way you as a buyer will value the product, that is the value you place on it, and the value the entrepreneur will place on it. That's why there has to be a point of intersection. There'll be a point of agreement. When there's haggling, when you go to the market and you haggle, this one says, no, I'm going to take 20 naira. I say, no, I'm going to pay 10 naira. No, I cannot pay, I cannot accept 10 naira. It even costs me more than 10 naira. And then you haggle up and down and agreed at 15 naira. That is where the transaction or the exchange takes place. But then it shows that there is value for that product. That's why you are saying you want to collect so much money, and you saying is able to pay, is ready to pay so much amount. So the value is also important. By devoting the necessary time and effort, you have to put in resources, your time, your talent, your treasures to make this thing work. Not only that, you are also assuming the accompanying risks. The risk may be financial, it may be psychological, it may be social. There's no business venture that doesn't involve risk. And if you are a risk averter, you may not be able to succeed as a business person. You're always running away from risks. In fact, the greater or the higher the risks, if it succeeds, the higher the profitability or the success of the venture. And the lower the risk, because the lower the reward you get from it too. So the risk will have to be there. And then receiving the resulting rewards of monetary and personal satisfaction, as well as independence. You are on your own, you are employing others, you can operate freely in terms of taking decisions, time of operation, without necessarily consulting. If you decide to consult anybody, it's just your personal, so you are not bound to do so. So the satisfaction, the joy of ownership is there, and other rewards you get from it. And if the thing succeeds at the end of the day, then you also have your monetary reward or gain. That is the way history defined entrepreneurship. We're also supposed to talk about some skills that entrepreneurs must possess in order to succeed, but that will come up at a later time before the end of this course. Somebody else will be coming to take you up on that, so I'm not bothered to go into that now. But some of them I've even mentioned in the course of defining or explaining who an entrepreneur is. Now, another section we want to talk about has to do with the components of entrepreneurship. So when we talk about entrepreneurship, what and what are involved? 5 major things. And you discover that the definition actually captures some of these things. There must be somebody. The entrepreneurship cannot operate or exist in a vacuum. There must be somebody who's an entrepreneur that is at the center of this entrepreneurship we are talking about. So, number one, an individual. Then, secondly, an act. The individual cannot be passive. There must be action. He has to take some steps to know what and what to do to bring everything to fruition. What is inputting or bringing in into the business. Then, innovation and opportunity. He is aware of existing ideas in terms of product or service, but he wants to bring in something new, or what has been existing, what people are already familiar with, in a new way. You might have discovered a gap, an area not properly handled by existing providers of such services or producers of such goods, and you now want to come in to do it in a better way that you feel will be acceptable or more acceptable to the consumers. And in doing that, there must be an opportunity. That is, a need is about to satisfy, and it's now using this particular product or service to fill that gap or to meet that need. That's an opportunity for him because it's going to make a profitable business out of it. But at the same time, is rendering a service, meeting and satisfying needs of people around him. Then we talk of an organization. There must be an entity because this entrepreneur is the organizer, so to say. The various resources or factors of production are there. Capital is there, the land is there. It's bringing everything together to make sure that this succeeds. Well, it may not be a very big organization. It may even start as an individual, but eventually maybe gets one person, two people, three people to join in to handle this or that. That's already an organization. Until it now becomes what is formally recognized as an organization. But there's somebody organizing something, resources, organizing people, and making things work towards meeting certain needs. Although at some risks. That's the fifth one, risk. There'll be one thing or the other that the ordinary person who doesn't have the entrepreneurship spirit will be fearing that if I go into this thing, suppose it doesn't work this way. Suppose I didn't get my expectation. That's the risk we're talking about. It costs you money, you invest something, you invest your time, and you sacrifice other things. But an entrepreneur will be optimistic that yes, there's a risk, but I weather it through, and at the end of the day, what I'm going to get will will be far more than the risk I seem to have taken. So the risk will be there. We put all these things together, then you have what you call entrepreneurship. Then another aspect is the entrepreneurial process. The process, as you move from one author to the other, you discover different steps and stages that people talk about. But you decide to put everything together, summarize them. Some have 8, 6, 7, but we've collapsed everything and put them together as 4 major steps or distinct phases in the entrepreneurial process. So the first one is identifying and evaluating the business opportunity. That's where you start. Is there an opportunity existing around me? And when we talk about opportunity, people think that maybe when you want to have an edge over somebody, or when you want to get something maybe free, somebody want to dash you something or something free that won't cost you anything, that's not the opportunity we are talking about. The opportunity has to do with identifying a need around you. In fact, somebody has said identifying a problem. What are the problems people around me are going through? Or if not people around me, some people elsewhere, then that means you go to that place to solve that problem. Or you provide a good from where you are, and then you find a way of transporting it to that place to meet those needs or solve those problems. So there must be a business opportunity. The problem you are trying to solve, there must be a way of commercializing it. So when you're able to identify it and evaluate it, the evaluation may take the form of, first of all, carrying out a feasibility study, writing a feasibility report, and then seeing how to execute the thing. But one thing is essential: identify and then evaluate the business opportunity. From your evaluation, you now decide if it is worth pursuing or not. Then developing the business plan. From the information you are able to gather from your research, that's the feasibility study you carried out, you can prepare a business plan. The business plan is like a compass, a roadmap, something that will guide you towards reaching your goal, the goal you want to achieve. Steps you will take in terms of maybe the resources you need to gather, financial resources, human resources, and others, location, all the other factors of production, landed property, and other things that will be involved in executing this uh, entrepreneurial project. So that's the second step. If you're able to successfully determine that, and from that, you get the third one, determining the resources required, resources you are going to use to establish the business and make the goods or the services available to those who will patronize you. And then finally, managing the resulting business enterprise, day-to-day running. You employ some people, you be in charge of this, the other one be in charge of that, and then how you now monitor the production, if it's a manufacturing organization, and then the sales or marketing of the product. Ordinarily, when we talk of entrepreneurship, is the entrepreneur that comes to our mind, that is a particular individual. Don't forget, when I was talking about the components, I mentioned an individual. That's where I started from. But then it's even possible for an organization itself to be entrepreneurial. So you can talk of an entrepreneurial corporation, an organization that is operating as if it's an individual entrepreneur and then is also giving birth to other corporations, subsidiaries, meeting needs, uh, and then creating an enabling environment for all those within that organization to be entrepreneurial. So that term, that concept also you can come across it, an entrepreneurial corporation. And that is a corporation that permits individuals and groups of people or teams within the organization to recognize and capture opportunities. Then you can also look at the entrepreneurial corporation as the one that is appropriately focusing on value creation. You know, that history definition, we talked about value. So if the organization is focusing the attention of workers on value creation, it is an entrepreneurial corporation. Then it will also uh, provide opportunity to bring together processes that will lead to innovation and the use of initiatives by members of that organization. So you have an entrepreneurial corporation there. Another related concept is the habitual entrepreneurs. That is, there can be an individual, a group of individuals that will not just stop at establishing a single organization or business venture. But after that one is established, they go ahead to establish other ones. So it has become part and parcel of them. Those are the ones we refer to as habitual entrepreneurs. They have more than one experience when it comes to the issue of startups. Then they are also always seeking new opportunities to create value, to meet needs. These are habitual entrepreneurs. Then you can also have entrepreneurial teams. Two people or three people, the same two or three people who are always establishing businesses together. Establish this one, employ people, hand it over to managers, then go ahead to establish another one, maybe a related organization. It might be diversifying to another field entirely. We have them, especially in this ICT technological field. We do a lot of that. Establish this, go ahead and establish another one. And we can also have them in other industries too. Those are entrepreneurial things. By the time we started, I gave us a brief idea of how this issue of entrepreneurship in higher institution started. The federal government has taken the issue of entrepreneurial education as very important in order to assist individuals, so that they also can assist the society, assist those around them in the process of helping themselves to survive. So that's why we have these various courses, and even up to PhD level. In any Nigerian university today, you must go through entrepreneurship before you get your certificate, get that degree. But our own concern is what's the relationship with this entrepreneurship education and economic development in the nation. The original idea is to make sure that as entrepreneurship studies continue to improve in various institutions, and people start practicing what they learn, then it's supposed to have positive effects on economic development. And I can tell you that since we started in this institution over the years, students, those even before they graduated, and some of those who have graduated that I still have contact with, they are practicing what they have learned, producing. They start in very small ways and then continue producing uh, sandals, rubber slippers, clothing, materials, and different things that you will not be able to imagine. And some of them are living by those things. And you want to tell me that that is not an improvement on the economic development of the nation? So what is important is for you now, because it's now your turn, to be ready to practice what you learn. Start on a small scale. Most entrepreneurs start on a small scale. And that's why we say one or two things about small scale businesses. You might be fearing that many small scale businesses I know, they don't last long. Yes, there we have a high rate of mortality in the small scale business sector. But why? It is when we know the reason for the high rate of death or collapse that we can talk of solution to these things. We can talk of, you see, initially the thing will start with declining sales. A business that has been getting high rate of patronage before, sales suddenly begins to decline. Then trade debts increase. When that one increase, there's a problem. Productivity itself will also begin to fall. There's increase in labor turnover. That's also the symptom of a problem. Returns on investments, profitability eventually will also begin to fall. When you see these symptoms, then you know that there is danger at the door. And the reason for all this, number one, incompetence, poor management. People feel that because I have the money to start this business, then I don't need any managerial knowledge. That may be a problem where they don't have enough experience to run or manage the business. They neglect. Some will know that they don't have the time, they just hand it over to somebody without adequate supervision. There's no way that individual can handle it and be committed to it the way you, the originator of that business, will do. So there's need for monitoring and supervision. And when you don't do that, then sometimes poor health of the owners eventually results in the death of the business. When you don't have good accounting record keeping, it's not up to date, then there's a problem. And when you cannot separate between personal assets and business assets and keep on dipping your hand into it, then also a problem. Then some people want to start very little, they keep on investing, and without looking at the rate that they can adequately accommodate and manage. So when the things become too big to handle, eventually it will also collapse. When there's problem with the feasibility study that was done initially, that will also resolve the problem. What's the solution to all this? Just do the contract. Identify the problem, then do the opposite. There will be solution to the problem. So when we talk about incompetence, get adequate knowledge, learn, develop yourself as an entrepreneur, and make sure you properly monitor and supervise what is going on, even if there are other people who are going to assist, so that there won't be any uh, problem. Keep good accounting, up-to-date accounting record, then avoid over borrowing, excessive borrowing. You may get to a point where you are not able to handle it. But some business organizations that started on a small scale and they are really making it are distracted, and they start investing in maybe vehicles, furniture, and other physical assets that has nothing, no bearing directly with the purpose of the business, when they cannot afford that. That the business may eventually run into problems. So you avoid that. Then operate on a scale that you can cope with. Then you can begin to expand and expand and expand gradually. If you want to become a big business, you eventually become a big business. And at the onset, when you are starting, make sure that the feasibility study is properly carried out, the project identification is properly done, you have a good business plan before you take off. That's where we are going to stop for today. Subsequently, we'll go into other details concerning this entrepreneurship and innovation. Thank you for your listening attention. Goodbye.